There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock. I want to share these stories with you because it's a tapestry of how we get to where we are now and the understanding that we have as a movement and as individuals. And there are people that were well-seasoned way before me that I came across that influenced me, that, kind of got my mind right. Now, this was done. I want to show you this new book that just came out by Walter Block. He writes a lot on Lew Rockwell, and it's I Choose Liberty, Autobiographies of Contemporary Libertarians. Now, I didn't even know this book was coming out until I got an email from a friend of mine this morning, and he said, "Oh, yeah, you're one of the contemporary libertarians, Ernie. You're in this book, man. Oh, the end is nigh." So he's having some fun with me. And I don't know how he came across it, but he sent this to me. I went and looked at it. I go, "Oh, I bet you I know what's in there." Walter Block compiled a bunch of just little autobiographical articles that he requested from people back in, I did mine in December of 2002. This is a long time ago. And it was right after we had our second Freedom Summit. And Walter Block had been on my show before and so on. And he has said, Ernie, I'd like you to send us how you came to liberty. Just, give us, where'd you come from and why? And this is kind of what I'm telling you. And how do you condense it into a short article? I mean, less than 1,000 words or something, and boom, done. Mark Victor did one also. He's included in the book. And it's people like you'd recognize the names, Lew Rockwell, Walter Block, Mary Ruwart, Gary North, a lot of names, Soul. I mean, a lot of names that you'd recognize. And it's over 80 of them. And they put them in this book, and it just got published December 28th. I mean, I just ordered it this morning. I didn't even know it, but I knew that he was working on this for years. He wanted to, people that he thought had an impact on this, and he wasn't so worried about all the things that they'd done and all that kind of stuff. He just wanted to know how you got here. Now, his real mindset is that there was a common thread. A lot of the people had a reason why they got to where they were in the advocacy of freedom, even up against insurmountable odds, the man. So it was interesting to do this, and I'll read you mine. It's not very long, and probably Mark's too. I think it'd be of interest to you. But a book of this from a lot of people that have had a lot of influence on this and have influence on me. And I was a little bit different. Because a lot of the people were, I read this, I read that, I read, and it was more for me, I'm like an activist, man. I mean, I lived, and I was more interested in science fiction. I read, Heinlein and Hogan and Elliot Smith and stuff like that. That had an impact on me. It sparked the imagination, because that's what makes humanity so powerful. You can imagine things. I've talked about this before, I don't talk about it enough. If you want to control the future, you got to strip the next generation of even imagining something different. If you can take, either through chemicals or selection or education or sitcoms or whatever the heck it is you want to do, mass propaganda and so on, if you can get them to not even contemplate something different, you already won. It's over. You don't even want them, they're not even thinking about it. You don't have to combat something that they're thinking about if they're not thinking about it. So I'm going, okay. So that's why last night at the party, there was somebody going, wow, man, Ernie, he's always going on about this space thing. Well, it's not so much that I want to, Donna, my wife, she's like, yeah, when, you move to space, I'm not going, yeah, well, you mean I have a choice. But, that's not the point. My point is that space is imagination. Had a big impact on my generation. Imagine growing up, I was born in 1961, and the space race. We're going to the moon and beyond. Science fiction started being real popular, and it was even before that. In fact, it's that even gave us the support of even wanting to try it. Why do you think the government, put everything into that? Well, it's a Sputnik thing and all that and, competition. But why were we concerned that the Russians would be there first? Well, we care. Space, who cares? There's no grass up there, you're not going to be farming anything. Cows don't do well in the vacuum. I mean, what was the motivation for us to even care? It was imagination. It was, imagination powers so much. And if you strip that, what do you got? Just whatever they give you, I guess. Well, I always want to spark imagination. That's why we pushed on this Spaceship One, did that, and we'll have that gentleman on the next couple of weeks. It's next week or the week after. He's coming on the program. Rocketeers. He wrote a book about the private space race, and we've exchanged some phone messages. We haven't hooked up directly yet. The Sierra's talked to him, but he's really excited about coming on because we're the ones that did the Spaceship One Government Zero signs. Pal Gamble came up with that, and we had a bunch of others, like we're going to space and government's not invited, so he's really happy to find out where that came from. Now, the thing is that the reason I wanted to bring this up is because there's an article that we have that was put up by Barbara Peterson today. She's with Farm Wars, and you may see some of her stuff on Freedom's Phoenix. Now, she had an article that was done by taking out part of a Chapter 24, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Now, this is Ed Griffin's book, and it tells us a lot about things, but there's one thing in there. I want to just read a couple paragraphs here, and you'll see why, it kind of segues into what we want to talk about today. There has always been somebody, they want to maintain and enhance their power and authority and intrusiveness over your life, and they know, it's the, pyramid people, man. It's the Aztec Empire, the Mayan Empire, the Roman Empire, whatever empire, the guys, this is Apocalypto, Mel Gibson's movie. It really, in one scene, that really put this, as I always like using movies because it, just kind of condenses it and makes it easier to refer. In Apocalypto, when the Aztecs were conquering a lot of the tribes out in the jungles and so on, they take them in. We're going to have us a sacrifice. We're going to put you up on top of this big pyramid, everybody all in a frenzy, and we're going to, take this jade knife and, stick it into your chest and rip out your heart and beaten and throw you down the thing and, whatever, and gods be praised. How were they able to maintain that? Who in their right mind would be, what? So this is something that's been learned by those of power forever. It's always got to be at war. There's always got to be somebody out there, get us all collectivized or fear of them or something. Well, one thing that was interesting, you have the Mayan calendar and the Aztecs and all the, Stonehenge and, the alignment of different things. You go, wow, it's amazing how they knew the travels of the sun and the moon and when the eclipses were going to be and such as that. Do you think the peasants working out in the maize fields knew when the eclipse was coming? They taught them in school that, did they? You think? Hell no. That was privileged information. That was national security stuff. That was secret. They would be up there and they have a big frenzy. They're ripping open the chests of these guys and the hero of the movie, one of the oppressed, he escapes and so on. Right before he gets up there, you see the priest as he's got the dagger and he's going to pick down and he kind of starts to feel, if you ever been in an eclipse, now I've been here out in the sun when the eclipse, as soon as it starts, you don't really see it, but you can feel it. Especially in the summer here when it's hot. All of a sudden, the intensity of the sun goes away. It's just kind of, wow, man, I'm not feeling like my brain's being fried as much, certainly here in the desert. So when the eclipse starts, you can feel it coming. Well, if you know it's coming and you start your program, a few minutes or hours even before it starts to happen, you can tell when it's starting. So the priest kind of looks over to the king with his nice feather headdress and everything, and they just kind of nod at each other. Yeah, here we go. And then all of a sudden, the sun that rose and set the same every day their entire lives just went away. And then they ooba, gooba, whatever, and it comes back. Guess what? The sun goes away and you got to come back. You the man in charge. You are the man. Yep. Think this environmentalism thing is going on, the same kind of whatever? Yep. You need to get educated. Or you're going to be controlled.